We're really excited to have everyone on the line today. Thank you for joining this webinar. This is a special edition for Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're really excited to have everyone join. So my name is Grant Keaton. I am head of customer marketing here at Tava Health, and I'm so excited to introduce Natalia Andreev, who is on our clinical team, who will be our presenter today. Natalia is a licensed therapist, and she's worked in the field for 10 years. And so I'm really excited to have her talk about this topic today, pathways to a purposeful life. You'll also see on our crew here, Ellie Keller, who will be helping out in the Q&A and the chat. So if you have comments or questions throughout the webinar, feel free to put those in. We'd love to hear from you and kind of have the conversation on the sideline as the presentation is going through. Any questions that you have, feel free to put them in anytime, and we'll try to work them into the flow of the webinar as that makes sense. Any questions that we don't get to, we'll be able to answer in a Q&A section that we'll have at the end. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Natalia.
Thank you, Grant, and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us and spending the next hour while we're going to be learning about pathways to living a more purposeful and meaningful life and harnessing the power of therapy for fulfillment. But before we dive into our presentation, I would like to highlight the fact that May is the Mental Health Awareness Month, and it is the time that is dedicated specifically to raising awareness and celebrating mental health and recognizing the fact that mental health challenges are quite common and maybe we don't talk about them enough. So this month-long campaign, when we celebrate the Mental Health Awareness Month, serves multiple purposes, and I just want to quickly highlight a few of them. So one big purpose of the Mental Health Awareness Month is to raise awareness, right? It helps educate people about the reality of mental health issues, because many people are still unaware of the prevalence and the impact that mental health conditions have around the world. So did you know that maybe 1 in 5 adults in the US, which makes it about 20% of the population, experience some sort of a mental health challenge in a given year? If we actually zoom out and look at the things more globally, then the number goes to 1 in 3 adults globally experience some kind of mental challenge in a given year. And that means that every single one of us here on a call maybe have experienced a mental health challenge, maybe knows somebody, maybe has a friend or a family member who has experienced a mental health challenge. And we also know statistics show that about 50% or less of adults who have a mental health challenge seek treatment. So again, by raising awareness, we can help those people get to the resources that they need and get the help that they need. Another goal of the Mental Health Awareness Month is help us reduce stigma. We've come a long way as a society, but mental health still carries significant stigma and prevents many people from seeking help. So by being here today, again, thank you for being here and openly discussing mental health, we can reduce the stigma and create more supportive environment for everybody around us. And another goal of the Mental Health Awareness Month, and there are probably many, but I want to highlight the promoting access to resources, right? We have a lot of resources available. Sometimes people are just unaware, and they range from self-help groups, support groups, counseling services, and many, many others. So Mental Health Awareness Month help people know where to go for those resources. So again, going into the presentation, remember that your mental health is as important as your physical health. And as we continue with today's presentation, and we're going to talk about the pathway to a purposeful, meaningful life, let's remember that Mental Health Awareness Month and the role that each of us can play to not only help ourselves to reach that meaningful way of living, but also create pathways for those people around us who might be struggling. So let's dive in. Let me read you a very powerful quote. The quote is by Carl Jung, who is a psychologist, and he says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And I think that this quote perfectly captures the essence of our life journey towards, again, living a more purposeful life. When we discover and embrace our true selves, and that's what paves that road to finding meaning and finding fulfillment. When we know who we truly are, when we align our actions with our values, our passions, and our strength, we become more authentic. And that authenticity that we find in ourselves not only enhances our personal satisfaction with life, but also enables us to make more meaningful impact on the world around us, right? So I say it in every presentation that no man is an island, right? We're all part of something bigger. So helping ourselves to live more meaningful life will also help us create those experiences for people around us. And as we explore the pathways to a purposeful life, remember that that journey actually starts with self-discovery. So we are going to be introspecting in this presentation. We are going to talk about self-awareness, and this journey also starts with the courage to become authentically you. And I think all of you have taken that first step by being here today. So our agenda for today and some of the goals that we hope to accomplish would be define the concepts of meaning and the concepts of fulfillment. We're going to talk about different therapeutic approaches to finding meaning and achieving that sense of fulfillment. We're going to talk about the importance of self-exploration and the role of reflection and self-reflection when it comes to living the authentic life. We are going to talk about resilience and the role of resilience and some coping strategies to build resilience. And we're going to review the resources and hopefully have some time for a Q&A at the end. All right, so the next section of the presentation is going to be focused on defining what is meaning and what is fulfillment. Meaning is actually, I find it a very interesting, but also at times very vague concept, but it is at the heart of the purposeful life. And it influences how we as people perceive, construct, and find significance in our lives and our everyday day-to-day experiences. I always think of a meaning as the lens, right? The lens through which we process the information. It's our understanding of our place in a bigger, grander scheme of things, right? So again, we're part of something bigger, part of the universe. And actually, if we draw from the cognitive psychology and think about the meaning, cognitive psychologists say that meaning relates to how people process information, how people make sense of the world, and how people attach significance to their experience day to day. Cognitive psychologists actually study meaning in relation to patterns, symbols, and cognitive structures. So they explore how our brain interpret and organize information, right? So we are bombarded with a lot of information in every given second. So cognitive psychologists look, okay, so how does human brain take that information and interpret it to create meaning? How it takes that information and creates sort of a coherent understanding of our environment and our place in that environment. But I also think that when we talk about meaning, we talk about a very deeply personal process. And that process is going to be very unique to each individual. So just take a moment to think about yourself and take a moment to think about your own journey, right? Some people can find meaning through their connections with other people. Some people can find meaning from their contributions to the community, or maybe they find meaning from the pursuit of knowledge or personal growth. And other people might find the meaning through their spiritual beliefs, maybe through artistic expression, or maybe just simple everyday joys of life, right? So having a cup of your favorite coffee. But oftentimes through my conversation with, people in my life and through my work with clients, I think it's a combination of different experiences that gives life meaning. And by actually exploring it and understanding what gives our life meaning, we can navigate our path to live a life that is clearer and has a greater sense of purpose. It also helps us when we know what gives our life meaning. It also will help us align our actions with our core values, because we are going to talk a lot about meanings. We're going to talk about the sense of fulfillment, and it's intimately related to our core values and our core beliefs and our passions. But you can think of a meaning as a compass that sort of guides us through life, but also through life complexities, life adversities, and helps us find our direction when we feel a little bit lost. And of course, finding meaning helps nurture our mental health. That is, again, very, very important. So that's the meaning. we are going to take a few polls through this presentation to make it as engaging as possible. So I would love for everybody to participate. I think the easiest way to join this experience is by texting. You can text my name, which is Natalia Andreev, to number 22333. You will get the confirmation text back. That means that you're in a poll, or if you are on your computer, you can go into your browser and type in pollev.com. Again, type in my name, which is Natalia Andreev, and you can respond to the activity that way. Okay, I'm going to keep the slide up for a couple more seconds, but Ellie or Grant, if you could also maybe post instructions in the chat so people could join. Again, I think texting is pretty easy. And our first poll is going to be this question. What gives your life the most meaning right now? There are no right or wrong answers. This is completely confidential. So family, traveling and spending time with my family and working on, education, family time, spending time with the loved ones, spending time with the daughter. Family seems to be an overarching theme here. Yes, we have a lot of people saying family gives them meaning. Great. Did you have any other responses? Adventures, again, with my family. And when, how I said that there could be many things that give you meaning at the moment, right? Family and faith. And family is definitely a huge part of it. Trying new things, absolutely. Being brave, being courageous, helping people. Yes. Spending time with friends and personal growth. Children, yeah, whether it's your own children or just being there for other people's children or working in a role that supports children. Pets and family. I have a pet, love her, definitely gives my life a lot of meaning. Traveling, being present for clients, providing service, the relationships, yes, that's a big part. Reaching goals, that creates that sense of fulfillment that we're going to talk about. Raising a child, absolutely. Beautiful. Okay. Creating something that helps others. Absolutely. Having this altruistic mindset. Travel and friends, learning. Wow, I really, really enjoy the answers that are rolling in. Spending time with your fiance? Yes, absolutely. Learning is a big part of it. When we also talk about self-fulfillment, music, right? So again, going back to this artistic expression when it comes to finding meaning. Learning and growing. Great. Okay, I really appreciate the engagement. Family time. Yes, I can talk about what gives life meaning for easily for another hour, but we are going to move on again. Thank you for the engagement. Nature, yes, that's a big one. Being connected to nature. Riding motorcycles, yes, can get the adrenaline going and definitely is a fun activity, right? So you could probably use it as a way to center yourself. Okay. All right. Survival. Yeah, it's a very basic need. We're going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so transitioning, and whoever wrote survival at the end, I think that's a perfect segue to our next slide as we continue our exploration of the pathways to creating a life that is very purposeful. It's also important to understand the foundational elements that kind of pave the way for that journey, right? So, and one of the very influential frameworks that helps us understand our drives, what drives us as humans, our motivations, and our behaviors is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So I think most of us have heard about this theory. So the Maslow's hierarchy of needs was created by Abraham Maslow in the middle of 20th century. And this model is always, not always, but often depicted as a pyramid, right? It illustrates that our most basic needs must be met before we can focus on our high level psychological and self-fulfillment needs, right? And so just very quickly, at the base of the pyramid, we have our physiological needs, and they are the most fundamental. They are required for survival, right? So again, it's food, air, water, sleep. So without these basics, it's just challenging to address any other aspect of our life. And then moving up, we're going to, once those physiological needs are satisfied, we are moving up to the safety needs. And this includes the need for security, and it could be both emotional security, physical security, financial security, the need for health, protection, and shelter. And that safety provides the stability that is also necessary for us to keep moving up that pyramid or that ladder. Next, here we have the needs for love and belonging. And we know that humans are inherently social beings. We seek connections with other humans, we seek relationship, we enjoy the sense of belonging. So when we talk about friendship, family, intimate relationship with your community and your society at large, they're very, very crucial elements for our emotional well-being. So belonging and connection actually play a quite significant role in supporting our mental, physical, and emotional health. They work as sort of, you can think of them as protective factors that help us navigate the challenges and actually thrive in life in the face of adversity. So again, we need to satisfy the physiological needs and then the safety needs and then the need for love and belonging before we can move up to the higher level needs. So the need for esteem, this encompasses self-respect, recognition, and a sense of accomplishment. Some of you have put things such as growth and learning. I think that maybe falls a little bit here, but also in the next step of self-actualization. But going back to esteem, as humans, we strive to feel valued by other people, to be recognized. And that's why we cultivate the self-worth by trying to achieve certain things in life, by being acknowledged. And now at the very pinnacle, at the very top of the pyramid right here, we have the self-actualization. And this represents the realization of our potential and our pursuit of growth, creativity, and actually fulfilling our capabilities. And it's about becoming who we truly are and finding that personal fulfillment. And that's sort of like the top tier ties it back to the topic of our presentation, which is finding pathways to a purposeful life, right? Creating the meaning, deriving fulfillment from life. So understanding Maslow's hierarchy of needs help us see the interconnectedness between our basic needs and our higher level needs. And by ensuring that our foundational needs are met, we can then build a solid platform to pursue the life that is meaningful, that is purposeful, that is intentional. All right, so transitioning from the concept of meaning and then the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we're going to turn our attention to the concept of fulfillment. So I mentioned that the concept of meaning could be pretty vague and pretty fuzzy, but I think it is a way more straightforward when it comes to defining it than the concept of fulfillment. When I think fulfillment, I definitely think of something that is way broader, has a lot more nuance to it. And if you research fulfillment in relation to psychology, it is often discussed in the context of personal growth, personal well-being, and realizing one's true potential. So when you think of fulfillment, you can think of feelings of satisfaction, that deep, profound happiness, um, maybe the sense that the life is rich, the life is rewarding. So that's what fulfillment kind of sort of is. But if you have some other definition or understanding of the word fulfillment, feel free to drop it in the chat and Elia Grant will help us read that for the rest of the group. Fulfillment is definitely another integral part of a purposeful life. And when I think of connection between the concept of meaning and the concept of fulfillment, I feel like the fulfillment will be the sort of a culmination of our efforts to find meaning, right? So we are in this continuous process of finding meaning in life. And when we find the meaning, whether it's something small in day-to-day things or something a bit more bigger, maybe more profound, that's what creates that feeling of fulfillment, right? So meaning translates into fulfillment. And there are several psychological theories and psychological concepts that actually address fulfillment. You might have heard about some of them or maybe familiar with a few, but I just wanted to highlight a couple here. So the first one is the self-determination theory. So this theory says that fulfillment comes from meeting three fundamental psychological needs for a person. It's the need for autonomy, the need for competence, and the need for relatedness. So when we think autonomy, we think about being able to be in control of your actions and your decisions. Competence involves feeling effective and feeling capable in your activities. And when we talk about the third component as relatedness, we talk about making or forming meaningful connections with other people around us. So when these three needs, autonomy, competence, and relatedness, are satisfied, then individuals, humans, experience this greater sense of well-being and greater sense of fulfillment. So the second concept, the second theory is called the flow theory. It's actually really interesting, and I bet that every single one of us here on the call have experienced that. So the flow theory describes a state of complete, utter immersion and engagement in an activity. When people are in this flow state, they lose track of time and they're fully absorbed in what they're doing, right? Sounds familiar. So I don't have a poll for this, but could you think of an activity that you've engaged in lately where you completely lost the track of time and you were so immersed in it, you were just so absorbed? And again, I invite you to maybe share it in the chat. So this flow state is that deep focus and the enjoyment that people associate with the activity that also creates this level of fulfillment and nurtures our creativity. And achieving this flow state often involves balancing challenges, passions, personal skills, and that provides the sense of accomplishment and the sense of intrinsic reward, right? So that reward that comes from inside you. The next is, again, very interesting theory on, I think it's pronounced eudaimonic well-being, and it's the opposite of hedonic well-being. So this concept came from Greek philosophy, and it refers to eudaimonia means living in accordance with one's true self and one's virtues, right? But the modern psychologists have translated it into focusing on personal growth, focusing on self-acceptance, and the pursuit of really meaningful goals, right? So when we're talking about hedonic well-being, we're talking about the emphasis is placed on pleasure and avoidance of pain, where the eudaimonic well-being is about realizing a person's true potential and contributing to the greater good, right? And finally, the positive psychology also addresses fulfillment, and this theory was pioneered by Martin Seligman and a few other psychologists, and it explores what makes life worth living, right? We've talked about what gives your life meaning at the moment, and positive psychology, that's the central topic is, what makes the life worth living? So it emphasizes strength, it emphasizes virtues, and factors that contribute to fulfilling life, right? So positive psychology focuses on gratitude, it focuses on optimism, resilience, and positive relationships. That's what, if you have worked with a psychologist or a therapist who practices this theory, they probably talked a lot about what is going well in your life, right? And they probably equip you with the tools and strategies that would enhance your life and your well-being. But again, just going back to fulfillment and meaning, it's not a static concept. I think it's a very dynamic process. It's an ongoing process. Sometimes we'll feel fulfilled, sometimes we won't. And it kind of ebbs and flows. And it also requires us to engage with our inner selves, pursue our passions, and connection with other people. Of course, we can't talk about meaning, we can't talk about fulfillment without talking about personal values and the importance of personal values. You can probably guess that our values and our aspiration, that's what guides our path to find the meaning through our experiences, through our day-to-day interactions with people. So what are the personal values? What is the definition of personal values? And I would define personal values, and you might have or might come across a different definition, but one definition that I like to use is personal values are the deeply held principles that guide our behavior and our decision making. They reflect what is most important to us in life and serve as a compass to how we live our lives, right? Again, circling back to that notion of our meaning being a compass to finding fulfillment, but our meaning is derived partially from our personal values because they do influence our experiences, they influence our bringing, our culture, our beliefs, they shape our perceptions, our personal values guide our actions, and they heavily affect how we interact with other people, right? By being able to identify and understand our personal values, and again, this is a process. I've talked to many, many people throughout my career as a therapist, and when we talk about personal values, sometimes people stumble with that question, right? So maybe they can readily identify one or two, but then it takes some time and purposeful action and introspection to actually identify more. And it's profound to witness when people say, "Hey, I actually was able to look inside and identify some values that actually help me make choices and help align my choices with my true values." And that gave me deeper meaning and allowed me to live the life that is more purposeful and feel more fulfilled in my life. So I think if we were to simplify the concept of personal values, we can think of the core beliefs that drive us and help us navigate the life with integrity and authenticity. Again, these words, authenticity, integrity, purpose, meaning, those are all interconnected concepts and sort of like feed one another. So personal values, just very briefly, they shape our perceptions of life, right? Our worldview. They shape our action. And if you think about your behavior, just think back and look at, for example, today, since you woke up this morning, some decisions that you've made, some actions that you took, they are the reflection, they're direct reflection of your values. And when we act in alignment with our values, we experience this sense of maybe integrity, maybe the sense of coherence, maybe even the sense of fulfillment. But you definitely know when you are not acting in alignment with your values because that truly creates internal tension. It creates what we call cognitive dissonance, where things do not match. And, again, a lot of people strive to live by values that are connected to honesty and compassion and hard work or creativity and actively align everything they do in day-to-day life with those core values. And they definitely shape our interactions with other people, right? Whether it's empathy, whether it's respect, whether it's collaboration, just trying to find meaning and build meaningful social connections. Again, values are going to layer every interaction with people. So let's do another poll. And can you please share what are the top 3 values that guide your decisions and actions in life? You might want to take a couple seconds to think and reflect and introspect and let me know what you think. If you can't identify 3 quickly, it's okay. You can maybe come up with 1 or 2 that stand out the most. But you will, again, same way you already joined the poll, you will just text your words: integrity, love, and growth. I love that. Connection, authenticity, and purpose. Honesty. Honesty seems to be popular. Honesty, integrity, and love. Mental and physical health, love, and purpose. Respect, growth, truth. Yes. Determination, love. I did this exercise on identifying top 10 of my values, and I think determination was one of them. Honesty, renewal, positive impact is definitely a great value to have. Authenticity, being authentic and staying true to who you are. Integrity, honesty, respect, love, right? So again, as human beings, it seems like we are sharing very similar values that in turn guide us into finding the meaning: kindness, empathy, absolutely, responsibility, forgiveness. accountability, holding ourselves accountable for our own actions, being resilient. We're going to talk about resilience. I love this. Honesty. So you kind of got a sense like solving meaningful problems, harmony. Oh, I love the word harmony, right? Being in harmony with yourself, with others, with the nature, with the universe. Yes. So again, great, great health, definitely. Very powerful. Religion, yes, religion, or it could be spirituality if you're not religious, but a lot of people identify themselves as spiritual. Definitely gives life meaning. Compassion, compassion. And when we talk by compassion, we talk about compassion towards that we project outward, but also self-compassion, right? Belonging, right? So that was in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Gratitude. Practicing gratitude is actually one strategy to build resilience. We're going to talk about strategies for resilience, but gratitude is one of them. Perseverance, yes. Persevering, despite challenges. Empathy, yes, and compassion. I love this. Again, thank you for engaging. So now respect and trust, absolutely. So we've identified a lot of values. So thank you for sharing what guides your actions, what guides your connections every day. But so what are some of the ways that our values shape being sincere like that shape finding meaning, right? So one of the ways is that in which our values help shape the meaning of life is shaping our identity, right? So our values we just seen how they are the integral to our sense of self. They help us define who we are or maybe who we aspire to be, right? And they contribute to create that consistent identity over time. And when we talk about identity and about our values, I think it's very important when we interpret our everyday experiences, when we're trying to understand our place in this world, or we just like plain looking for meaning, right? Values also help shape meaning by providing us with a sense of purpose, right? They always help us define that sense of purpose. For instance, let's say if somebody values being an active member of society and contributing to society, they might find a lot of purpose in volunteering, right? Which is going to create even richer meaning and a sense of fulfillment. Another way values help shape meaning is connecting with others, right? Values help us find connections with other people who maybe share similar ideas, who share similar worldviews, and maybe not similar, but still find a way to connect with those people. And I think when you actually are very in touch with your values, it can help make this relationship with other people deeply meaningful, and create that space where people can be there for each other, that mutual support, shared understanding, that also in turn can reinforce those values. Another one is values help us guide, they help guide our decisions and our behaviors. And we already talked about that, right? So when you make a specific choice, it is going to be a reflection of your value, right? For example, I see that family was a top response when we did our first poll and we talked about what gives your life meaning right now. So if you value family very highly, so you will probably prioritize a lot of family-centered activities, family gatherings, and such. So by making choices that reflect our values, we can create, again, the life that just feels more authentic, that feels more who you truly are, right? And so by staying true to ourselves. Values can also help us evaluate our experiences, right? So when you think of values, they can probably provide some criteria for evaluating our experiences day to day. So you meet people, you engage in certain activities, and then you can say, well, this was actually helpful. They help you assess whether this activity or this individual is going to enrich your life, make you gain a deeper sense of meaning, maybe help you gain more insight and take another step towards living a life more authentically and fully, and definitely enhancing resilience. I know that a few of you have talked about resilience in a previous poll, but absolutely when we are faced with challenges and adversities, our values is actually what offers a source of motivation, and that allows again to guide us through those difficult times. And when we are in the trenches, when we are faced with an adversity or life just throws a curveball, upholding our values through such times can actually provide people with a sense of, I want to say, integrity, sense of pride, and just again reinforce of who we are despite facing challenging situation. It Our values actually remind us of what is important and help us stay grounded and focused in the face of adversity. So again, understanding how personal values actually can help us shape meaning, helps us actually appreciate the profound impact it has on our life. So we talked about values, we talked about core beliefs, we talked about meaning, we talked about fulfillment. So we kind of talked about them in this theoretical, conceptual way. And now I would like to highlight some of the therapeutic approaches that can help you find meaning. Again, when we think about therapeutic approaches, I'm going to talk a little bit about therapy, right? So oftentimes we have this misconception about who therapy is for, right? Oftentimes people think that therapy is only for people who are actively experiencing a mental health struggle or challenge. But therapy could also be a space where you can talk about, you know, life in general, about helping make sense of things, gaining that deeper understanding of self-exploration. Your therapist is there for you and could be there for you in very, very different situations. So, and again, if you have not used therapy before but have access to, and maybe you're not actively struggling with anything right now, I still invite you to make an appointment, see a therapist, and talk about how can a therapist help you lead a more purposeful life. So what are some of the therapeutic approaches that a therapist might take to help you gain better self-understanding and to, again, discover more meaning? Therapists are trained in a variety of approaches, but these are some of the approaches that help with finding meaning and focus on meaning directly. So logotherapy, right? This therapy was developed by Viktor Frankl, and it was specifically designed to help people find meaning in life. It is based on the idea that our primary drive in life is not pleasure, as Sigmund Freud was saying, or power, that was pioneered by Alfred Adler, but our primary drive is the pursuit of what we personally find meaningful. So logotherapy actually involves identifying and pursuing life goals that are deeply meaningful to the person, and even when the person is faced with suffering and adversity. So Viktor Frankl actually went through a pretty horrific experience during the Second World War, being in a concentration camp, and his work actually came out from a lot of his work has come out from his personal experiences. And then there's also existential therapy and humanistic therapies, and those therapies emphasize free will, self-determination, and again, search for meaning. They can help people face anxieties associated with existence, right? So thinking of death, concepts of freedom, isolation, maybe feeling meaningless. And the existential psychologists help people create a life that is more rich and more meaningful, even when people are feeling meaningless or questioning the existence. Okay, cognitive behavioral therapy, pretty popular. We're going to talk a little bit more about this and how using cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT in short, can help people explore and pursue a more meaningful life. We have humanistic therapists as well, and those approaches include client-centered therapists or Gestalt therapists, if you've heard of them, and they focus on self-actualization and development of human potential. If you think back to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's the very top tier. And definitely positive psychology, right? So positive psychology, the main principles are therapists will emphasize your strength, your virtues, and help you cultivate more gratitude, more optimism, more resilience, and positive relationships instead of sort of focusing on some of the challenges or issues. Narrative therapy is also a very powerful form of therapy. And when you engage in narrative therapy, it actually suggests that people are separate from their problems. and our identities are shaped by the narratives that we develop about our lives, right? So, and if we want to change our experience, we need to reshape these narratives in a more empowering way, in a more meaningful way, and that will translate in finding the greater meaning and fulfillment. So again, each of these approaches offers a unique blend of strategies, unique blend of tools that can help us navigate life and find deeper meaning and satisfaction. And in the next couple of slides, we are going to spend talking a little bit more about cognitive behavioral therapy. So cognitive behavioral therapy, or again, a CBT for short, is a form of psychotherapy that focuses on understanding and changing thought patterns and behaviors that contribute to our emotional distress and psychological problems. So, cognitive behavioral therapy is based on the idea that our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are interconnected and influence each other. And by changing our thoughts, we can then influence our emotions and our behaviors, and that can influence our overall sense of well-being. So this is your crash course in CBT 101. So we are going to talk about the main concepts of CBT. So when you're working with a therapist, and most therapists have been trained in CBT, so cognitive distortions is the word that you're probably going to hear often. And cognitive distortions are simply the irrational, inaccurate, or the biased ways of thinking that can, again, negatively influence our emotions and our behaviors. And that's what reinforces our negative beliefs and contributes to the issues such as anxiety and depression. And then it just takes away from life, right? So takes up the mental space where you can't really focus on self-actualization or finding meaning or feeling fulfilled when you're faced with severe anxiety or depression, right? So the example of cognitive distortion could be maybe what we call an all or nothing thinking, right? Seeing situations in black and white patterns. For example, you can say, oh, I completely failed, instead of, well, I made some mistakes, but I think overall I did a lot of things right. So, but I completely failed will be an example of a cognitive distortion. And there is a whole list of them, I think about 12. And then another term that you will hear when you're working with a CBT therapist is the term cognitive restructuring. Again, a therapist will help you identify those unhelpful thinking patterns and reframe them and replace them with more adaptive, more accurate thoughts. So again, you will end up with a different sort of emotion and perhaps a different behavior. And the behavioral component of cognitive behavioral therapy is heavily focused on skills training, right? So again, trying to change your behavior, equip you with your tools and the skills to be more purposeful. So you would say, well, this is a very structured approach, very goal-oriented, very heavy on psychoeducation. And a lot of times people will say, well, how does this, relate to finding purpose, living a purposeful life? But I do think that by aligning thoughts and your behaviors with your personal values, CBT can help people set and achieve meaningful goals, right? It can also teach you how to take care of your mental health. So you would have the mental space to focus on, again, the sense of purpose or the sense of fulfillment. And so, again, it's a really, really, really great way of helping people find the good spot in life so they can use other maybe approaches or other ways of gaining more insight and striving to be in a better place in life in terms of finding meaning and creating a fulfilling experience. So self-exploration, right? So big word, self-awareness. I'm pretty sure that many of you know what self-awareness is, but I am going to define it for you anyway. So self-awareness is defined as the conscious knowledge of one's own character, one's own feelings, motives, and desires, right? And again, we can't talk about meaning, we can't talk about fulfillment if we don't know who we are, if we are not self-aware. And this is some of the ways that self-awareness can help you in find fulfillment in your life, right? So one of the ways, if you are cultivating self-awareness, it'll help you understand your personal values and aspirations better. It can also help you if you are, again, engaging in an activity or exercise that will increase your level of self-awareness. It's going to help you understand your strengths and your weaknesses better. It's going to help build emotional regulation, right? So When you're self-aware, it can facilitate management of your emotions in a proper way, right? So the ability to manage emotions can contribute to a better relationship, just better experience with life overall, and then in turns creates this deep sense of personal satisfaction, right? It could help you reflect on your growth, define what authentic living means for you, because again, you are engaging in introspection, and it definitely can enhance your relationship with other people. So again, I'm a big proponent and I do this work with my clients, cultivating self-awareness that creates a very strong foundation for everything else that you're going to do to make your life better, richer, more meaningful, and more deeply satisfying. Right. So some of the exercises to increase self-awareness, again, journaling is very powerful. If you have not engaged in journaling, I highly recommend doing this activity, right? So it just allows you to reflect on your daily experiences and focus on your internal thoughts, internal feelings, right? Just dedicating some time each day to engage in journaling could be really powerful. Meditation and mindfulness, another fantastic way to raise self-awareness. And soliciting feedback from other people, right? A lot of times we think we know who we are, but it's not necessarily what other people around us observe, right? So again, to gain insights from how other people view us and can help you reveal the blind spots in self-perception and actually provides the opportunity for growth when the feedback is actually constructive. But in order to solicit feedback, you have to create safe place for people, right? You can actually do some personality and strength tests. You've probably heard about the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is a personality test, but there is a bunch of a bunch of other assessments that you can take to gain that better level of self-awareness. Again, focusing on setting personal goals can help improve your level of self-understanding and also engage in emotional awareness exercises, right? And that will help you better understand and regulate your emotions, which also will translate into better self-awareness. All right, so one more poll. What activities or practices that you're engaging help you gain self-awareness? It could be, for me, for example, I do like taking my dog for a walk, and it provides me a space where I can reflect on my day, my week, my actions. Journaling, absolutely. Therapy, oh yes. That's a great space for discussing self-awareness. Yoga, absolutely. It actually aligns your mind, your body. Alone time, crucial. Meditation, right? So whether it's a very formal form of meditation or maybe it's a guided meditation or mindfulness, absolutely. Yeah, lots of therapy, people providing you with feedback, exercising, being outdoors, connecting with nature. Yeah, a lot of people here do meditation, prayer. Yeah, this is sort of meditation too, but also allows you to, get in touch with your spirituality. Taking a walk outside, I'm with you there. Talking through my thoughts with others, yes. And if you don't have a trusted person in your life right now, a therapist can be that person for you. Mindfulness therapy, yes. Driving to work in silence, absolutely. Feedback, yeah. Walk and meditation, going to church, again, spirituality, gardening. Oh, I love gardening. I actually grow my own vegetables, tomatoes and cucumbers. Big hit in my house. Riding motorcycles, self-care meditation. There's a lot of technique. Breathing. Oh, breathing is one of my favorite. I teach every client that I work with a breathing exercise, at least one, minimum five. Well, minimum one, but I usually try to teach people at least five different exercises. Talking to my teens, they'll tell you how it is. Oh, yes, I have one at home. Yes. Gen Z language, that's what I'm learning. Time in the mountains, time alone and quiet. Absolutely. Yes. Clearing your head when you go for a ride, breathing exercises. And thank you. You're a very engaging group. Praying. Brain dump on a paper, absolutely. That's a form of journaling, right? So, and this is some of the questions that can promote self-awareness. So if you want to give journaling a try, maybe you're actively journaling, but so the first three questions are going to focus on your values and your goals. The next set of questions will focus on the aspects of your personality. And the last set of questions is actually going to focus and are centered around your relationship with people. So again, great journal prompts. I wish we had a little more time to go over them, but we don't. So one thing that I wanted to get to is a very quick grounding exercise. It's going to take us a couple of minutes, but I think we do need to get centered. So it's very brief. So all I want you to do, if you're not sitting, find a comfortable chair. Make sure that you're sitting comfortably. You can close your eyes, you can keep your eyes open, but make sure that both of your feet are touching the floor so you feel grounded, right? So you will start breathing in and then very slowly exhaling. And we're going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3, right? So very slowly. Again, one more. Inhale, exhale. And now I want you to bring your focus to your body, right? So try to notice how your body feels, how your legs feel, how your arms feel. Maybe you can feel your back against the chair that you're sitting in, how it feels against that surface. Maybe you'll notice the texture of the fabric and how your seat feels. And now, again, just making sure that you're breathing and your feet are touching the floor. Imagine that you're pushing down on that ground. Picture that you have that energy that is draining down from your head, going down your body, going down your legs, and going into the earth. Again, maintain that breath, slow, controlled. And as you feel this energy draining, as you relax your muscles, going from the top of your head down your body, and each body part will start to feel relaxed as you actively relax those muscles. If you can't relax them, you can tense them first and then relax them. So again, the sensation is to get that feeling of heaviness going down your legs, through your feet, and down into the ground. And now we're going to take one more breath in, while planting your feet directly onto the floor, having that connection with the surface. And out. Okay, we're back. The grounding chair is a very, very simple but very powerful exercise. And I think it really can help somebody to feel grounded, feel centered, and feel connected in a very, very short period of time. So again, we're strained for time, so I'm going to go through the next couple of slides very briefly. But resilience is, again, an underlying theme and a really big concept when it comes to self-exploration, self-awareness, making meaning in life, making meaning in challenging situations. And resilience is defined as our capacity to adapt, our capacity to bounce back and thrive in the face of adversity, in the face of stress, or in the face of just challenging circumstances. And if you think of resilience in the context of living a purposeful life, resilience actually helps us maintain our emotional well-being and cope with the various demands and challenges that we encounter, right? So these are the key aspects of resilience. When we talk about resilience, we're talking about the importance of emotional regulations and developing proper coping mechanisms. We're talking about the flexibility and adaptability, how we can embrace change, how we can embrace uncertainty and keep the flexible mindset and being adaptable. Resiliency also involves building not only the positive outlook on life, but also a set of problem solving skills, right? So it involves actively working on expanding your toolkit, because when we are faced with adversity, you will need the tools and constructive solutions available to bounce back, and social support. Again, no man is an island. We do need social network to cultivate and maintain resilience, right? So connecting with friends, family, support groups creates a sense of community and helps us process our emotions, right? So when it comes to protective factors and skills that can promote resilience, again, we're talking about defining the clear sense of purpose and meaning in life. We're also talking about making sure that we are physically well, right? So our mental health is very interconnected with our physical health. So you need to take care of your physical needs. Creating and cultivating social connections that are meaningful. Talking to a professional, right? So again, counseling is a very safe space, confidential space where you can bounce any of your thoughts over a professional who is trained to help you achieve that meaningful life. And there are also, if you're really curious about building resilience, there are specific training programs that are helping people build their resilience, build their problem solving skills, improve emotional regulation, help with stress management. And they're very structured approaches. Also, we've done the mindfulness exercise, the grounding exercise. That's something, if you practice diligently, will also help you build resilience because you will be able to manage stress better. Self-compassion is a big one. I know we had the word compassion on a few polls, but self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same level of kindness and grace that you would extend to other people who are struggling. Focusing on learning and professional and personal growth is another way to kind of boost resilience, and engaging in gratitude. I think I said that at the beginning, but I'm going to encourage you to find a way to nurture and express gratitude, whether it's just maybe at the end of the day as you're going to bed, reflect on your day and find one thing that you're grateful for. And if you incorporate these protective factors and skills into your life, right, day to day, you can definitely notice how your resilience grows as you grow. And when you are presented with challenges, you're actually able to navigate them with greater ease and find a sense of fulfillment, even in the most, challenging of times. All right, so I think we actually almost made it. So some of the resources for additional readings, some great books on self-awareness, fulfillment, making meaning. I highly recommend this book. It's called Man's Search for Meaning, again written by Viktor Frankl. When I read this book, it left me in this introspective space for days. And also great books on resilience. And also, Dava Health has some amazing resources for mental health. We have a blog that addresses many, many different mental health topics, along with ebooks and guides and case studies. And Ellie was going to put the link in the chat so you can easily access them. And we don't have time. Well, we do have a couple of minutes for Q&A. And I just wanted to, again, thank everybody for being here, for joining us today. So I really hope that you're walking away with a deeper sense of self-awareness and maybe having a lot to think about.
Great, thanks, Natalia. I think the only question that we had in the chat that we didn't answer specifically was around values, and if there is some kind of correlation among values and gender, and if you had any ideas off the top of your head to answer that question.
I think just like, again, this is going to be drawing on my personal experience. I think on the surface, if we look at gender and values, you might see the correlation, and then, a gender and a specific value, maybe with one gender leaning more towards one set of values and another gender leaning more towards another set of values. But I do also think that this is just the surface level, and a lot of it is shaped by our upbringing, right? The societal expectations, the gender roles that we are immersed in, and the way we talk about gender roles in our family, in our community, right? So is there a correlation? Perhaps, but I definitely don't know like the specific research around it. But yeah, on the surface, absolutely. If we dig deeper, maybe that delineation will blur a little bit and we will see that it's just universal human experience.
That's great. Thank you so much, Natalia. This has been such incredibly helpful information. There's lots of read more that you called out on this presentation as well. As a reminder, we will send out the information of this recording and the information included in the webinar. After the fact, you should look for an email from us tomorrow for all of that information. So if you missed some, don't worry, you'll be able to get the full thing when we send that out. Thank you everyone for joining, for participating. Thank you again, Natalia, for presenting, and we'll see you all on the next webinar.
Bye, everyone.